Over the recent few years, I have pissed off a whole lot of purists and car enthusiasts and surprised many when I recommend that they ditch the manual box and get an auto transmission. I have always maintained that they would thank me later. Some have not. But yes, buying an auto just makes sense, even if your budget means having to downgrade one model segment. Namaskar and welcome to today's podcast. So, when we say which car should I buy, it includes not just the model but sometimes the attributes of the car as well. Increasingly, many people are veering towards automatics, especially in our cities. And yes, that iconic line from the Friends theme song, I'm showing my age now. It's like you're always stuck in second gear. The metaphor runs deeper than Ross and Rachel's relationship drama. For anyone who has spent hours crawling through traffic, constantly feathering the clutch and wrestling with gear changes, the phrase hits differently. And yes, it's becoming something of a generational inside joke. Manual transmissions have been dubbed the millennial anti theft device. I'm sure you heard that. Because younger drivers supposedly don't want them and just can't operate them. But let's get real. If you are contemplating the switch to automatic transmission, you are in excellent company. Automatic cars now account for roughly a quarter of all mass market car sales in India. It's a lot. In the top 20 cities, the skew is even more, with 1 out of 3 cars sold being automatic. That's a massive shift from just a decade ago, and the numbers keep climbing. On the luxury side, of course, it's almost all automatic. The demand is so robust that virtually every passenger car now has at least one automatic variant. Some are automatic only, like I said, and I'm even talking about budget friendly price points. But speaking of that, let's address the elephant in the room. First up, automatics cost at least 50,000 rupees more than their manual counterparts. And that's just like the entry fee. You also pay marginally more for servicing, maintenance throughout your car's life. And in some cases, yes, you can expect slightly lower fuel efficiency. Here's the silver lining. You can actually get an automatic car now for under 5 lakh rupees. The Renault Kwid starts at 4 lakh 99,000 rupees. Maruti Suzuki's Alto K10 AMT costs 4 lakh 94,000. And the Espresso AGS is priced even lower at 4 lakh 74,900 rupees. These aren't luxury indulgences anymore. They're practical solutions, especially for city driving. Quickly getting into my first quiz question of the day. So, trivia. Which was the first car sold in India with an automatic transmission? It's a bit of a googly, this question. So, think about it. Type first and then your answer so I can find it easily in the comments. The world of automatic transmissions can feel like navigating through acronym hell. I'm going to begin by breaking down your options from the most affordable to the most premium. AMT, Automated Manual Transmission. Think of this as manual with training wheels. I actually sometimes call it a fraud automatic because AMTs, they cost about 50 to 70,000 rupees more than the counterpart manual variant. So it makes them the most budget-friendly automatic option, but it's essentially a manual gearbox where there are sensors and actuators that kind of do the shifting for you. They handle the clutch work. So it's not really an automatic gearbox. It just frees you from having to change gears. The pros, they are therefore more affordable, fuel efficient, and great for city traffic. In some cases, in fact, by the way, the AMT will have higher claim mileage than the manual. The cons, they can feel really jerky, slower gear changes, not exactly thrilling to drive. As you can tell from my expressions, I am not a fan. The best options, though, Maruti Suzuki Espresso AMT, 25.3 kilometers to the liter, Alto K10 AMT, 24.9 kilometers to the liter, the Tata Tiago AMT. But look, these are all perfect city commuters on a budget. You've also got things like the Swift AMT, which is actually pretty good. And you can get a fully loaded AMT on the Swift, also with the ZXI variant, which means all bells and whistles. Wasn't the case a few years ago. Incidentally, it was in 2013 with the Maruti Suzuki Celerio that India first tasted AMTs. Maruti calls it AGS, auto gear shift. It was the real game changer, a simpler, more affordable alternative to the traditional torque converter automatics, which were always more expensive. And that's what kicked off the big wave of automatics in the mass market. Okay, next let's talk about IMT, Intelligent Manual Transmission. It's often confused with AMT and also confused with being an automatic. So then you might wonder, why do I have it included here? Because it still offers you convenience and freedom from having to engage the clutch. It gives you a lot of convenience. It gives you a slightly different gearbox option to a regular automatic and, of course, to a manual. This is Kia's and formerly Hyundai's unique take in the market. So you basically still shift gears manually using the traditional H pattern and the gear stick, but there's no clutch pedal. So it's like having your cake and eating it too. Manual control without the left leg workout. So a lot of people don't know it till they try it. Once they try it, they find it to be quite a lot of fun. It's available on the Kia Sonet, the Seltos, and Carens. If you are buying in the used car market, you can still look for the Hyundai Venue, i20 N-Line, the Creta, some options. CVT is next, continuously variable transmission. Now, this is where things get really smooth. CVT uses belts and pulleys instead of fixed gears, which gives you infinite gear ratios and very seamless acceleration. It's like the ungeared scooters in a way, if you think about it in terms of how it feels. It's like having a gearbox that's constantly fine-tuning itself. The pros here, extremely smooth operation, excellent fuel economy, very sort of perfect for urban driving. The cons can feel a little bit sluggish during spirited driving and requires regular maintenance. The top picks here, the Honda Amaze CVT, 19.6 kilometers to the liter, by the way, but that's not the only reason why. It's also one of the most affordable CVTs. There's the Nissan Magnite CVT, also pretty affordable, well priced. The i20 IVT, that's by the way what Hyundai just calls its CVTs. And even SUVs like the Honda Elevate, the Hyundai Creta, they offer CVT options. And now we come to the torque converter. That is the traditional automatic. When you think automatic for decades, torque converters. In the old days, these used to be really small gearboxes. Sometimes you have 3 speeds, 4 speeds, but really old days. Now you have, of course, many more gears and a lot more sophisticated technology going into them. It is still the old school heavyweight that's been around for decades, as I said. If you see a car that's labeled just AT, automatic transmission, without any other specific designation or any of those acronyms, it's got a torque converter typically. These are preferred by premium cars, heavy duty applications, even some sporty applications where there's a lot of torque to be sort of transferred down to the wheels. Yeah, torque converters really work well, as the name suggests. The upside here is that they are ubiquitous, and unlike the past, yeah, they're now a lot more fuel efficient too, a lot more sophisticated. Driving performance is also quite fun. The downside is that they can be expensive, and yes, they can be thirsty on the fuel tank. So everything from a Maruti Suzuki Brezza to a Skoda Kayak AT on the compact side. And then there are the big brutes like the Toyota Fortuner, Mahindra XUV 700. And finally, there is DCT, or dual clutch transmission, what Volkswagen calls DSG, the sports car of automatic transmissions, if you will. DCT uses 2 clutches, and so every time you're engaging, there are 2 different sets working, which means the gear shifts are much faster. One is for the odd gears, one is for the even, lightning fast shifts while maintaining that really connected, sporty feel. You don't get that little gap or lag that you sometimes do with automatics. The pros: quick shifts, of course, great response, of course, sporty driving experience, of course. It's decent to good fuel efficiency. Now, I'll say that with a little caveat. The cons: more expensive to buy and maintain, can be jerky in stop-go traffic unless you sort of master how to drive them well. And then, yes, that point about the fuel inefficiency. Sometimes DCTs are fuel inefficient until you get used to driving them. You saw that happen with the Ford EcoSport, if you remember, with the EcoBoost engine. Options galore. There are many, many such options with DCTs, from the budget-friendly Tata Altroz DCT, the i20 N-Line, And of course, the much pricier Kia Sonet. But then you also have things like the Taigun DSG and the Hyundai Creta DCT, all the way up to the luxury brand offerings. A lot of them are fun. And a lot of times when people start to drive with one of these, they don't want to go back to a regular torque converter. Second trivia question. In which country do manual transmissions make up less than 2% of all sales? This one's easy. Type manual and your answer. So, I have told you all about the different kinds of automatic transmissions, but I still haven't told you which car you should buy. So, here are my top automatic picks. And going back to that point about pissing off the purists, the reason I recommend automatics in city traffic, you'll just find that they give you fatigue free driving compared to a manual where you're constantly changing gears. Yeah, it can be a little bit better for your sanity. And then you're free to sort of maybe have a little less distraction and have conversations in the car if you want to. Okay, now I'm just being flippant. Let's talk about my top automatic picks budget wise. Hyundai Exter AMT. It's a compact SUV appeal, though it's technically a micro SUV with 6 airbags as standard, so decent amount of kit and reasonably smooth AMT. The Tata Tiago AMT, 4-star GN cap rating, so safety is pretty much on board here. And again, pretty well kitted out. The Maruti Suzuki Baleno AMT is spacious, efficient. It's a premium hatch, so it's a little bit larger. So good amount of cabin space. It's backed by Maruti's service network. But really, a Nexa model should not have an AMT. Like seriously, give us a CVT or a torque converter for heaven's sakes. Okay, that's my personal grouse out of the way. On the Fronx, you do have the option with the turbo engine to go AMT free. The Hyundai i20, IVT or DCT. On the N line, remember you get the DCT. Kia Sonet DCT, feature packed with refined gearboxes. The same thing you can say for the i20 as well. The Mahindra XUV 3XO, well, now here's a nice range of automatics that gives you a whole lot of features too. It's really feature packed. It's got the dual 10.25-inch screens, wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, dual zone climate control, panoramic sunroof, segment first, Dolby Atmos audio. Yeah, so totally worth your time and money. Both Venue and Sonet, by the way, also offer diesel automatic options. That's something worth considering. Volkswagen Tiguan DSG, fun to drive, sporty, good build quality. The Hyundai Creta IVT DCT, we've just discussed it a few times now. Multiple automatic options loaded with features. The Honda Elevate CVT. Now, this is all about reliability, great ride and handling, great after-sale service, and really good value for money overall. So kind of like the no-brainer, good on fuel efficiency too. The Toyota Hyryder eCVT, superb hybrid mileage with Toyota reliability. And of course, it's also available on the two compact SUV counterparts from Maruti. Plenty of electrics start to come into play from the next price segment upwards. And of course, they're all automatic. Mahindra XUV 700 AT, punchy performance, there's ADAS, safety features, 7-seater layout. So yeah, pretty good on space. The Toyota Innova Hycross and its alter ego, which is the Suzuki Invicto. TNGA platform, 2-liter petrol and conventional hybrid option. The first in segment comfort features like the powered ottoman, ventilated seats on higher trims, 5-star crash safety credentials, excellent long-term ownership value. And then you got the MG Hector Plus. Yes, I'm going to throw this one in here as well because you get the CVT option, 1.5-liter turbo petrol. It's a connected car. It has those iSmart features. There's ADAS. It's a pretty roomy cabin and decent finish on that cabin too. Competitive tech for its price. There's also the Tata Safari, and as you go higher up the price scale, then of course you have cars like the Skoda Kodiaq, the BYD Sea Lion 7, also all of them worth considering. Now these are just some choices. There are many, many, many more at all these different price points. And yeah, the recommendations that I've made are based on ex-showroom prices of these models, not on road. So, are you interested in considering an automatic or you have already been driving one? Please share your views or your questions with me. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more such content, plenty of reviews and some fun stuff too. In cities like Mumbai, Delhi, Pune, Bangalore, I mean pretty much all of our cities now, traffic can really move at glacial speeds. The convenience of an automatic becomes undeniable. Like I said, you'll thank me later. Modern automatics have also largely overcome their traditional disadvantages that used to be in the past, like fuel efficiency, not so much of an issue anymore, affordability, a lot better. And yes, AMTs are better and more refined today than when they first arrived in 2013. But, they're still not true automatics, if you know what I mean. So if you can spring for it, just go true auto and don't just think about true value. Whether you choose a budget friendly AMT for city commuting or splurge on a sporty DCT for your weekend drives, there is an automatic transmission that matches your needs and your wallet. And remember, buying a car is deeply personal. Take a test drive, consider your daily driving patterns, do your research, talk to people like me. Don't just let the purists convince you that it takes three pedals to make you a real driver. Sometimes the smartest choices are ones that make your daily commute a little less stressful, makes that car more flexible for use by different members of the family or your friends, and is just a lot more enjoyable. Great. I hope that was helpful. Please let me know if it wasn't or if it was. And now I get to answer your questions on which car should I buy or which car you should buy. The first one is from Abhijit. Hi, I have a budget of 8.5 lakh rupees on road Mumbai for my first car. I have 15 years driving experience in my dad's car. My minimum requirements are Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, factory fit. Okay. Manual. There you go. Someone wants to buy a manual. Power windows, remote locking, and decent space for a baby stroller. I'm considering Renault Kiger RXL 1 liter NA and the Tata Tigor XZ or the Ignis Zeta. Please help me choose between the Kiger, good space but poor engine, Tigor 1.2 but fleet image, Ignis, best engine but poor boot space. Okay, nice detailed question. Thank you, Abhijit, for that. And you're in Mumbai. I would strongly suggest that you think about getting an automatic. But okay, congratulations on the baby. The Kiger facelift is just out. Have you seen that? In this trio, the choice is easy for me. The Kiger is good value for money, decent on space, and features too. You could consider its twin, the Nissan Magnite, or even the Kia Sonet as options. The Tigor and the Ignis, nah. Okay, next question. Hi, can I buy a Fiat Linea? If I purchase a used one, that's pretty much the only one you can get, where should I go for service and spares? Is it worth buying in 2025? The simple answer is no. The car is beautiful, and I was a huge fan at one time. It's a well-maintained one today, especially with that multi-jet engine. It could still be pure gold, but logic says it's just too dated. While Tata workshops will be able to handle some of those repairs, remember Tata at one time, they sold those cars too. Number of multi-brand workshops, I don't think you'll have a huge trouble getting spares. A lot of those parts were shared with other brands too. It's just not worth the stress. So what are your other options? You can share it with me on social media DMs. You could leave a comment here. I'd love to help you choose a different car. I love the Linea, but you got to look a little past that, I think. Question 3. Well, a boring question. Is it the right time to buy an EV? It's not a boring question. Okay. Point 1 is going to be my first self-owned car. I have been driving my family cars since about 10 years. All of them are petrol. Second point, really don't want to spend 15,000 every month for my daily commute. Of course, I have done some calculations. Okay, fair enough. Number 3, the budget is 25 lakh rupees. Number 4, needed a premium fit and finish, a bit of a head turner. Okay, so congrats. I think it's great that you've been able to sort of really crystallize what you want and, getting your own first car. That's exciting. So it is a loaded question and I get brickbats for this first part. Is it the right time to buy an EV? Yeah, it kind of is. It sounds like you're convinced on the math anyway, so I don't have to convince you. So, okay, you really should zero in on the B6. So much attitude, tech, sexy looks. It is a real head turner. Or you could also consider the BYD Atto 3, which is also positively going to surprise you. I mean, this car, when you go in and look at it, you don't have great expectations. I think you'll quite like it. If you want to play it safe, you could wait to see the pricing on the Maruti Suzuki e-Vitara. Or you could even go for like the fully loaded Karen's Clavis EV, which is already in the market. Okay, now a question from Dogra Punjabi. 18 lakh budget, city usage, primarily 50 kilometers per day with once a year highway run of 2000 kilometers round trip. Old parents and a 12-year-old son, part of that journey. Prefer an SUV, waited for a long time for the Dacia Bigster, but now want to be able to buy something available by Deepavali 2025. Okay, so what's the answer? The Creta. It just ticks all the boxes. There are many worthwhile options. You could look at the Honda Elevate. There are many, many others. You could also take a look at Maruti's latest launch. It's just come into the market and looks pretty exciting. Some nice features there as well. Uh, think about maybe which one works best for your family need. And also remember, when you're doing this test drive of all these different cars, take your family along. Sometimes it comes down to things like just the seat comfort, especially for your elderly parents, or how easy it is to get in and get out. But yeah, these are the cars I would recommend. Okay, hi, I own a Seltos GT since launch. That's the 2019 model. And a few months back, I sold my Baleno manual. Now, really very confused to buy a new car in place of the Baleno or as a second car due to so many options available. I like the Virtus slash Slavia as fun to drive, but should I go for a sedan and low mileage in cities in a city like Mumbai? Or should I go for the Windsor Pro, but resale is an issue? I was thinking about taking the buyback scheme from MG. In 3 years, sell it back and upgrade to newer tech of EV at the same time. Sometimes I think about just getting the Creta, but it's a sibling of the Seltos. Also, my Seltos is now almost 6 years old. Also thought of Clavis, but don't know. Very, very confused. It's okay to be confused. Please guide, the budget is 20 lakh rupees, 2, 3 lakhs here and there. Okay. Oh, he's not done. Last but not least, I like your presentation videos. Very apt and very detailed. Thank you. All right. I'm glad I took that last part. Makes me feel great about myself now. So thanks so much. Truly appreciate your trust. Look, your dilemma is a very common one. So don't fret. You are right. Buying a Creta will feel a little bit similar and familiar. But don't also forget that there have been significant updates since 2019. So there is that. If you don't need the size and space of something like a Creta, why not look at something fun and zippy like the upcoming new Venue or even a Kailak? As for the Windsor, the buyback just makes a lot of sense with EVs in general, by the way, not just with the Windsor. So you have an easy out. Since we don't really know what's going to happen with batteries, battery tech, resale values. So, yeah, actually, the Windsor Pro is not a bad idea at all for you to consider with that 3-year plan that you have. Next question. What's your view between Audi A4, BMW 2 Series versus Mercedes A-Class limousine? The BMW 2 Series, if you want a serious driver's car, a real performer, if you want serious good looks, maybe it's the A-Class sedan. But if you're going to be chauffeur-driven, the A4. Look, it's old, but it's one segment higher. It's very comfy, and you'll get a great deal most likely without having to push too hard. And Audi has also begun offering buybacks. So it really depends on your need. So I hope I answered the question. The 2 Series, though, is the most fun to drive. Mahalingam is asking, I'm not sure which car should I buy. Hey, that's what this podcast is for. Okay, 2 parents, 2 adults, 1 kid, 7 years old. That's the kid. And they'll be the users of this car. I drove a Honda Elevate CVT, Honda Amaze CVT, Citroen Basalt AT, Skoda Kailak AT, Nissan Magnite CVT, and Brezza AT. Automatic transmissions. Perfect for this podcast. Okay, I like the Honda, Skoda, and Citroen for its suspension. I used to drive a Hyundai Sonata in Dubai for 12 years. Bigger car, bigger engine, though my need was not that big. Now I'm in India and I'm confused which one to buy that suits my needs here. I live in Bengaluru now, mostly city and occasional highway, around 500 kilometers. That's the highway driving. So what can you suggest? Thanks for giving me a whole lot of that information. Given Bangalore traffic and roads, firstly, I am glad that you're going for that automatic. The Citroen actually has really great ride quality, and it is pretty good value for money too. So if you like the design and you're okay with all the features that are on the car, it's not the most loaded, go for it. The Elevate is my other choice for you. No nonsense. It's decent on features and on space. And in both these cars, I think the advantage will be that the usage for the elderly in the family, that will really work out well. But I'm very curious, what is the 7-year-old's favorite amongst all these? I'm sure that she or he has a favorite. So why don't you tell me that? That might be a good place to start a follow-up to this conversation. Okay, time to squeeze in one more question. I have a Jeep Compass planning to upgrade to the Meridian. Will it be fine? Planning for a 7-seater high cross hybrid or Meridian. Not happy with ride quality, body build, and interiors of the high cross hybrid. The Meridian impresses in these areas, so kindly suggest. Okay, the Meridian is a plusher, slightly longer compass. So, just so that you're fully aware of that. And over the years, luckily, Jeep has upgraded the car. So, you're right, the cabin is a lot nicer now. If you have been happy with the performance, the running, and of course, the service of the Compass, yeah, stick with the Meridian. I think you'll be pretty pleased because you clearly like the brand and you seem to be fond of your existing car. The Innova High Cross is not an SUV, so it's not truly comparable. You could consider the Safari or the Alcazar if you're really not hung up about the third row, and that's a big if, then why not the Tucson? That's another car to consider. Okay, lots of questions answered, and I hope this gives a lot of you a lot of insight because I know you may not have asked the question, but you may be thinking it. But go ahead and ask the question. I'm very happy to try and answer it, help you out with your decision. And remember that we'll have more such topics that may be of interest and specifically relevant to you as consumers. If you'd like to suggest topics for the podcast, feel free to do that as well. But promise me that you will drive safe. There are a whole lot of festivals coming up. And so, in all that celebration, don't forget to wear your seatbelts. Take care.